The hospital doors slid open with a sharp sound, and I followed the nurse down a long, white hallway. My hands were shaking, not because I was cold, not because I was tired, because I didn't understand the words I was about to hear. The doctor stopped in front of us, looked at his tablet, and began to speak. He spoke calmly, professionally, clearly, in English. Words started falling from his mouth like rain. Tests, cardiac, risk factors, family history. I heard them, but I didn't understand them. I nodded, I smiled, I pretended. Inside, my mind was empty. I looked at my mother sitting on the bed. She looked smaller than usual, pale, weak. She trusted me. I could see it in her eyes. She expected me to ask questions, to understand, to help, and I couldn't. I wanted to ask one simple thing. Is she going to be okay? But the words didn't come. That was the moment everything broke inside me. My name is Liam. I'm 22 years old. I live in a quiet coastal town where people rarely speak English. For most of my life, English was just a school subject, something I passed, then forgot. I always said, I don't need it. The truth, I was afraid of it, afraid of sounding stupid, afraid of making mistakes, afraid of being judged. So I avoided it. Until that day. That night I sat outside the hospital. The wind was cold. The street was empty. I sat on a metal bench and stared at the ground. And I cried. Not like in movies. Quietly, silently. I cried because I felt useless. I cried because love was not enough. I cried because I had no words. And right there, on that bench, I made a decision. This ends here. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how long it takes. I will learn English. I will never feel this helpless again. That was not the start of a course, not the start of a class. It was the start of a mission. And I didn't know it yet, but a simple tool was about to change everything. The next morning, with no sleep and red eyes, I opened my phone and typed my first sentence. The next morning, sunlight came through my window, but I felt heavy. I hadn't slept much. My head was full. My heart was tired. I sat at my small desk. Old books, a cracked mug, my phone in my hand. I felt embarrassed, angry at myself. Then I remembered a short video I had seen days before. Someone was talking about ChatGPT. They said, you can practice English with it. It's like a private tutor. It doesn't judge you. I laughed quietly. A robot? Teaching me English? Still, I had nothing to lose. I opened the app. No teacher's face, no classroom, no pressure, just a blank box. My fingers stopped above the screen. I was scared to even write. Finally, I typed, "Hello, my English is not good. Can you help me speak English slowly and simply?" I stared at the screen. Seconds passed. Then a reply appeared. "Hello? Yes, I'd love to help you. Don't worry, we can go step by step. You can make mistakes here. You're already doing well by starting." I didn't move. I just read it again. And again. No one had ever spoken to me like that. Not at school, not at college, not in real life. I felt something new. Not confidence, not happiness. Hope. That day, I didn't study grammar. I didn't memorize rules. I wrote one sentence. ChatGPT corrected it. I wrote another. It explained why. Slowly, simply. When I didn't understand, I asked again, and it answered. Patiently. Every time. That evening, I realized something important. For the first time, English felt safe. And that changed everything. What started as one sentence became a daily habit, and a quiet transformation. I made a simple rule. Every day I would open ChatGPT. No excuses. Some days I practiced for 10 minutes. Some days for an hour. I started with basic things. How was your day? What did you eat today? What do you want to do tomorrow? That morning, I didn't feel strong. I felt tired, overwhelmed, lost. So I made one clear decision. I will stop thinking about everything. I will focus on one small thing at a time. Not fast, not perfect, just consistent. I promised myself something simple. Every morning, before anything else, I would spend 15 minutes with ChatGPT. No Instagram, no YouTube, no news. Just me, my phone, and English. That was it. I didn't start with lessons. I didn't start with grammar rules. I started with my life. I opened ChatGPT and wrote, I want to write a very short diary about my morning. I will write first. You correct me and explain. Then I wrote my first diary entry. Today, I wake late. I feel sleepy. I drink tea and sit. I felt embarrassed when I sent it. But the reply came calmly. Good try. Here's a corrected version. Today, I woke up late. I felt sleepy. I drank tea and sat down. Then ChatGPT explained. Simple, clear. Wake becomes woke in the past. Feel is incorrect. Use felt. Drink becomes drank. No pressure, no judgment, just learning. Without realizing it, I learned 3 grammar rules. I didn't memorize anything. I didn't open a textbook. I was just writing about my morning. That's when I understood something important. Grammar is easier when it's personal. After that, I read the corrected diary out loud, slowly, clearly. Before this, English stayed in my head. Now, it came out of my mouth. I repeated the sentences again and again. I stood in front of the mirror. I recorded my voice. I listened to myself. It sounded strange, but it was real. For the first time, my mouth started trusting my brain. Every morning, I also asked ChatGPT, can you give me 5 very easy English sentences for daily life, with meaning? It gave me sentences like, I'm running late. I'm not sure. Let's take a break. That sounds good. That's not fair. Then I asked, can I try to use them in my own sentences? You correct me, and I tried. Mistakes came. Corrections came. Confidence grew. I wasn't memorizing words. I was building language muscle. That became my morning routine. Every single day. After 10 days, I was not fluent, but I wasn't scared of simple sentences anymore, and that changed everything. But speaking to real people still terrified me, so I found another way. Speaking was still my biggest fear. Real people meant real pressure, so I told ChatGPT the truth. I want to practice conversations, but I don't have anyone to speak with. Can we practice like real life? The answer came immediately. Of course, let's do a role play. I'll be the waiter. You are the customer. Are you ready? My heart beat faster, but I said yes. The conversation started slowly. Hello, welcome. Can I take your order? I typed my answer. Hello, I want coffee. ChatGPT replied. Good. You can also say, I'd like a coffee, please. Then it continued the conversation. Question by question, sentence by sentence. If I made a mistake, it corrected me. If I didn't understand, it explained again. We practiced many situations. At a restaurant, at a hotel, at a doctor's office, at a job interview. Sometimes I typed. Sometimes I spoke out loud. I even asked, please speak slowly. Please use easy English. And it did. One day, I changed the rule. I said, Let's talk, but don't correct me immediately. Correct me at the end. That felt more real. I spoke freely. I made mistakes. I didn't stop. After the conversation, ChatGPT showed me my errors, and I understood them. I was still alone in my room, but I was practicing real communication, without fear, without embarrassment, and slowly. My voice became stronger. Then something unexpected happened. English started following me outside my room. The conversation began simply. ChatGPT wrote, "Waiter, hello, welcome. Would you like to see the menu?" I answered, me, "Yes, please. I want burger and tea." A few seconds later, the correction came. Not harsh, not cold, just calm and helpful. "Nice try. Here's a more natural way to say it. I'd like a burger and a cup of tea, please." Then the conversation continued. "Waiter, would you like anything else?" I replied, me, "Yes, one cake." Again, a gentle correction. You can say, "Yes, I'd also like a slice of cake, please." We kept going, line by line, mistake by mistake. Every correction became a lesson. Every sentence became familiar. I didn't rush. I practiced the same restaurant conversation for 3 days. Not 10 different situations, just one. I even printed the dialogue. I stood in front of my mirror. Sometimes I was the waiter, sometimes the customer. I spoke both roles. Alone in my room, I acted out the conversation like a small play. It felt strange, but it worked. Later, I tried other role plays. Airport check-in, hotel booking, talking to a stranger, job interview, doctor and patient, but not yet. At this stage, I stayed with restaurant English. Why? Because confidence grows faster when you master one situation, not many. After 3 days, ordering food in English no longer scared me, even if I never did it in real life, because my brain believed it was already real. That's how confidence begins. But learning new things was not enough. I needed to remember them. After a few weeks, I noticed something. I was learning English every day, but I was also forgetting it. That scared me. I didn't want to start again every morning from zero. I wanted English to stay with me. So I created a night routine. Every evening, before sleeping, I spent 20 minutes with ChatGPT, and I did 4 clear things. First, I told ChatGPT what I learned that day. I typed something like, "Today, I learned how to order food politely." I practiced, "I'd like a burger, please." I also learned the difference between wake and woke. Then I asked, "Can you help me review today's learning and check if I understood it correctly?" ChatGPT answered with a short review. It explained again. It gave examples. It asked me one simple question. That review locked the knowledge in my brain. Second, I created my own Today's English page. Every night I opened a notebook. At the top, I wrote, "Today's English, Day 12, then I divided the page into 3 parts. A. Words I used today: woke, weather, polite, order, slice. B. Sentences I learned: I'd like a burger and a cup of tea, please. I woke up early today. The weather is warm and windy. C. Questions for tomorrow. When do I use have had? How do I start small talk? That notebook became my personal dictionary. Not from books, from my real life. Third, I asked for feedback and motivation. Before ending the day, I wrote, "I studied English today. I practiced a role play, corrected mistakes, and reviewed my sentences." "Can you give me feedback?" ChatGPT replied kindly. It told me I was doing well. It reminded me that consistency matters. That message gave me energy. It made me feel seen. Fourth, I read old pages aloud. Before sleeping, I opened pages from 2 or 3 days before. I read the sentences out loud, slowly, clearly. That refreshed my memory, trained my pronunciation, strengthened my habits. That's when I realized something important. Reflection is not extra work. It is growth. And then came the step that changed how my brain worked. At this point, I could read, I could write, I could practice conversations. But inside my head, I still thought in my native language. I translated everything. By the time I finished translating, the moment to speak was gone. So I told ChatGPT honestly, I want to think in English, not translate. But I don't know how. Something inside my brain had changed. English was no longer a lesson. It was becoming a habit. I started connecting English directly to my actions. I asked ChatGPT, "Can you give me simple sentences to describe what I'm doing right now?" It replied with easy, clear examples. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm pouring water into a glass. I'm tying my shoes. I'm locking the door. I'm walking to the store. That day, I tried something new. I spoke every action out loud. As I put on my shirt, I said, "I'm putting on my shirt." As I walked, I said, "I'm walking to the kitchen." While eating, I said, "I'm eating slowly. The food is hot." It felt strange at first, but then something clicked. I wasn't studying English anymore. I was living inside it. Later, I asked ChatGPT to help me with my thoughts. I typed my idea in my own language and asked, "How can I say this naturally in English?" For example, "I feel lazy, but I need to finish this work." ChatGPT replied, "I feel lazy today, but I still need to get this done." I read it, I repeated it, I felt it. Then I created my own sentences. I'm nervous, but I'll try. I feel a little sad, but I'm okay. I'm excited for tomorrow. I don't feel confident, but I won't quit. This is hard, but I'm learning. This was not textbook English. This was emotional English. My English. Every night I added one quiet exercise. I sat in silence for 3 minutes. I watched my thoughts. Then I spoke them in English, slowly. I feel calm right now. I think I'm better than last week. I hope I can speak more clearly next month. I miss my old school. I'm proud I didn't skip practice today. When I got stuck, I asked ChatGPT for help. It became my guide, my translator, my coach. Before this step, my speaking process was slow. Here, arrow translate, arrow pause, arrow speak. After this step, my brain started responding directly in English. Not perfectly, but naturally. For the first time, I felt like someone who could really speak. But there was still one final problem: my voice. Even though my mind was improving, my mouth was still behind. When I tried to speak, my tongue felt heavy. The words were in my head, but they didn't come out smoothly. Understanding English is one thing. Speaking it is another. I didn't have a partner, no class, no group, just me, and ChatGPT. So I asked, how can I train my speaking voice if I'm alone? The answer was simple and powerful. Speak every sentence out loud. Use a mirror. Record yourself. Let your mouth learn what your brain already knows. That became my new system. Every morning, I stood in front of my mirror, not to look good, but to build courage. I looked at myself and said, "Good morning. My name is Liam. I'm learning English. I'm not fluent, but I'm not quitting." Then I said, "Today, I will speak, even if I make mistakes." Next, I asked ChatGPT, "Give me 5 simple questions I can answer out loud." It gave me, "What did you eat today? How do you feel right now? What are your plans today? What did you learn yesterday? What do you want to improve?" I answered every question out loud, slowly, looking into my eyes. The mirror became my first listener, and, slowly, my voice stopped being my enemy. I also recorded my voice. I asked ChatGPT, "Give me a short paragraph I can read aloud." It gave me, "It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. I'm going for a walk. I want to enjoy the fresh air." I read it into my phone. Then I listened. At first, I didn't like my voice. It sounded slow, unclear, unconfident. But I didn't judge it. I listened like a teacher. I tried again the next day, and the next. Slowly, my pronunciation improved. My rhythm changed. My confidence grew. That's when I understood the truth. Fluency doesn't come from talent. It comes from daily, honest practice. And step by step. My voice finally caught up with my mind. I didn't delete the recording. That was important. Instead, I listened to it carefully. Then I opened ChatGPT and asked, "Can you help me improve my pronunciation?" Here's what I said. I typed the paragraph exactly as I spoke it. The correction came back slowly and kindly. It showed me where my sounds were unclear, where I spoke too fast, where I stressed the wrong word. No shame, just guidance. I recorded the same paragraph again, then again, then again, day after day. After 2 weeks, I listened to the first recording and then the 14th. And I smiled. My voice sounded different, more stable, more confident, more alive. That was real proof. Next, I trained with conversation shadowing. I asked ChatGPT, "Create a short, natural conversation about going to the movies." It gave me a simple dialogue. I recorded myself speaking both roles. I listened for rhythm, for tone, for flow. Then I asked, "Can you rewrite this conversation in a more casual way?" It gave me a new version. I practiced that one too. Each version made me more flexible. Each repetition made fear smaller. I didn't sound perfect, but I sounded like a real person, and that was enough. Then I worked on difficult sounds. I asked ChatGPT, "Help me practice sounds like the, R, and V." It gave me short drills and playful sentences. I practiced slowly, 5 minutes a day. At first, my mouth felt tired, but then something changed. My muscles learned. Now I don't stop when I say words like through, river, or voice, because I trained my mouth, not just my brain. That's when I understood something important. When you train your voice daily, you give your mind permission to speak. And then I built something even stronger, a system. Here is something most people don't realize. Fluency is not about motivation. Motivation disappears. Fluency comes from systems. Simple systems. Repeatable systems. Daily systems. So I asked ChatGPT, "Can you help me build a complete daily English routine? Speaking, writing, vocabulary, confidence, everything." It said yes, and we built it together. Morning, speaking, 10 minutes. I wrote 3 sentences about my day. ChatGPT corrected them. I read the corrected version out loud 5 times. Vocabulary, 10 minutes. I asked for 5 useful daily phrases. I learned the meaning. I used each phrase in my own sentence. ChatGPT corrected me. Role play, 15 minutes, 1 real-life situation. Restaurant, doctor, interview. I practiced aloud. I used the mirror. Thinking practice, 10 minutes. I described what I saw, what I felt, what I was doing. Only English. No translation. Night reflection. 10 minutes. I wrote what I learned, what confused me. I asked ChatGPT for review and encouragement. I read 3 sentences aloud before sleep. It was 55 minutes total. Not all at once. Morning, afternoon, night, every part connected. That's when English stopped feeling like a subject. It became a lifestyle. With ChatGPT's help, I organized my English into mental folders: food and restaurants, health and doctor visits, travel and airports, work and interviews, feelings and emotions, friends and small talk. Each folder had 10 to 15 sentences. Practiced, corrected, spoken. So when someone spoke to me, my brain opened the right folder. No panic, no blank mind. I scheduled my English time like an appointment, every day, same time. I told my family, this is my English time. It became serious. That's when I stopped feeling like a beginner and started feeling like a learner with direction. But one final fear still remained: real people. Even with all this practice, one fear stayed. What if someone talks to me in English outside? What if I freeze? In real life, there is no pause button. So I made a new plan. I told ChatGPT, I want to prepare for real-life situations before they happen.